The second you put yourself first, everything changes. But most people, they never realize it until it's too late. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you chose you? When was the last time you said no without guilt? When was the last time you put your dreams ahead of someone else's needs? See, I know how this goes. You give and give and give. You show up when they call. You sacrifice your time, your energy, your peace, thinking that one day they'll do the same for you. But what happens? They get comfortable. They expect it. They stop saying thank you. And when you finally need something, they're nowhere to be found. You want to know why? Because the world doesn't respect people who put themselves last. It rewards those who value themselves. And I know what you're thinking, but isn't that selfish? No. Let me tell you what's selfish. Expecting you to break yourself for the comfort of others. Let me tell you what's selfish. Letting people drain you, exhaust you, use you up, and then toss you aside like you were never enough to begin with. You are not here to be someone's backup plan. You are not here to be their emotional punching bag, their free therapist, their safety net whenever life gets tough. You are here to be something more. So tonight, I'm going to tell you something that might change your life forever. The second you put yourself first, everything changes. And if that scares people, let them go. Because the real ones, the ones who truly respect you, they won't leave. They'll rise with you. Let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear. The more you put others first, the less they respect you. The more you bend over backwards, the more they expect it. The more you sacrifice, the more they take. And the second you stop, they look at you like you changed, like you did something wrong, like you owe them something. But let's be honest, when did they ever owe you anything? You were the one answering their calls at 2 a.m. You were the one fixing their problems, lifting them up, giving until there was nothing left of you. And when you needed help, I knew a man once, hardworking, loyal, a man who gave everything he had for the people around him. If someone needed help, he was there. If someone needed money, he found a way. He never said no, never put himself first, because he thought, if I just keep giving, one day they'll see my worth. You want to know what happened? The more he gave, the less they valued him. The more he sacrificed, the more they expected, until one day he had nothing left. And when he finally needed them, nobody showed up, because they never saw him as a person. They saw him as a resource. And when a resource runs dry, people move on to the next one. That man was my friend. And by the time he realized the truth, it was too late. See, this world has tricked you into thinking that being selfless is noble, that the more you give, the more valuable you are. But that's a lie. Because if you keep pouring from an empty cup, you don't just run out of water, you drown. Burnout is real. Exhaustion is real. Depression is real. And too many of you are running on empty, breaking yourselves for people who wouldn't cross the street for you. And I need you to hear me when I say this. You deserve more. Now, I'm not telling you to stop caring. I'm not telling you to be selfish. I'm telling you to be smart. Because the second you start valuing yourself, the second you start setting boundaries, the second you stop overgiving, that's when people start respecting you. When you say no, the right people will respect it. When you stop chasing, the right opportunities will come. When you put yourself first, the world will finally see your worth, not because you begged for it, but because you demanded it. So here's my challenge to you. Stop running yourself into the ground for people who wouldn't do the same for you. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Because the second you put yourself first, step forward, voice powerful, eyes locked in, everything changes. Let me say something that might shake you to your core. If you don't start putting yourself first, nobody else will. If you keep waiting for permission to prioritize yourself, you will wait forever. Because the world has no problem taking everything you've got until there's nothing left of you. Some of you sitting here today, you've spent years putting everyone else ahead of you. You've sacrificed your dreams, your time, your energy, thinking that if you just give a little more, they'll finally appreciate you. But let's be honest, has that ever worked? Or have you just been left feeling drained, invisible, and unfulfilled? Let me tell you a story about someone I know. There was a woman I met years ago, smart, talented, full of life. But you know what she told me? She said, "I don't even know who I am anymore." Why? Because for years, she put everyone else first. She was the perfect daughter, the perfect wife, the perfect friend. If someone needed help, she dropped everything. If someone needed money, she found a way. If someone needed her time, she made it happen, even when she had nothing left to give. And then one day she woke up, exhausted, empty, a stranger to herself. She looked in the mirror and realized she had built a life that wasn't even hers, a life where she didn't matter. But something in her snapped. She said, "I can't do this anymore." And for the first time in years, she made a choice for her. She started saying no without guilt. She stopped answering calls that drained her. She put her own needs at the top of her list. And guess what happened? The wrong people disappeared, the right people stayed, and she got her power back. Some of you are exhausted right now, not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too much for the wrong people. You're running yourself into the ground for folks who wouldn't lift a finger for you. And I need you to hear me when I say this. That is not love. That is not loyalty. That is self-betrayal. Because if you don't value yourself, why would anyone else? If you don't put yourself first, why would the world? You cannot give your best to others if you are running on empty. So, here's what I need you to do. Stop thinking that putting yourself first is selfish. Start seeing it as necessary. Because when you are at your best, you bring your best to everyone around you. When you are fulfilled, you lift others higher. When you are strong, the people who truly matter in your life will rise with you. But it starts with a choice to stop begging for respect and start demanding it. A choice to stop chasing people and start attracting the right ones. A choice to put yourself first so you can finally become the person you were meant to be. So, I'm asking you right now, when will you make that choice? Because the second you put yourself first, everything changes. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like giving up? Be honest with yourself. That moment where everything in you says, "I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. It's too hard." Some of you are feeling that right now. But before you throw in the towel, let me tell you the truth about why most people quit. Pause, let the silence pull them in. It's not because they're not capable. It's not because they don't have what it takes. It's because at some point, they started believing the LIE, that struggle means stop. Let me tell you about a man I knew. He had a dream, a big one, and he went after it with everything he had. At first, things looked good. He was making progress. He felt unstoppable. But then, life hit him. Obstacles came out of nowhere. Doors slammed in his face. People he trusted turned their backs on him. Every day felt like a battle just to keep going. And then one night, he sat alone in the dark and thought, maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe I should just quit. But something inside of him whispered, not yet. So he got up the next morning and took one more step. And then another, and another. He kept showing up, kept pushing through, kept fighting for what he wanted. And you know what happened? One day, after years of struggle, after nights of doubt, after moments where he was this close to giving up, everything changed. The doors that once slammed shut swung open. The people who doubted him started asking for advice. And that dream became his reality. Now, let me tell you the most important part of that story. That man was me. See, most people quit because they believe the pain means they're on the wrong path. They think struggle is a stop sign when really it's just a test. And the ones who make it, they aren't the smartest. They aren't the luckiest. They aren't even the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to stop. So let me ask you, what if you're just one more step away from everything you've been fighting for? What if your breakthrough is right around the corner, but you quit too soon? How will you ever know if you stop now? Listen to me. Success isn't about never falling. It's about getting up one more time than you fall. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it. It's about pushing forward when your mind is screaming at you to quit. Because the difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent. It's grit. It's the will to keep going. So I'm asking you right now, are you about to quit on something you were meant to win? Are you about to walk away from the life you were born to live just because it got hard? Because the second you decide to keep going, even when it's tough, everything changes. At the end of the day, there comes a moment when you have to decide, are you going to keep living for everyone else, or are you finally going to live for you? Because let me tell you something, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you the life you deserve. It's on you to make the change. It's on you to stop waiting for permission. It's on you to put yourself first. So, starting today, stop apologizing for choosing you. Stop explaining why you're setting boundaries. Stop feeling guilty for outgrowing the people who refuse to grow with you, because the second you put yourself first, the game changes. Your energy shifts, your confidence rises, and the right people, the right opportunities, the right life will start coming to you. But it starts with a choice to stop settling for less than you deserve, a choice to stop waiting and start moving, a choice to finally become the person you were meant to be. So, I'll leave you with this. The world will treat you exactly how you allow it to. So the question is, how much are you worth? Because the second you decide your worth, everything changes.